everyone, welcome back to Let's Talk, and I'm John, and today we're going to be talking about 2004's Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and its brand new Kino Lorber 4K Blu-ray. But before we dive into that, if you are a fan of 4K Blu-ray reviews, film reviews, TV reviews, tech reviews, maybe some video game reviews, we try and do them all here on this channel. Nothing helps out more than by liking this video and hitting that subscribe button. So the way this review is going to work, I'm going to do the film review in the beginning, then I'm going to do the Blu-ray review, and if you're here for our digital code giveaway questions, those will be at the very end of this video. So feel free to skip ahead or watch the whole thing, whatever makes you guys most comfortable. So in 2004, Michael Gondry and Charlie Kaufman brought us Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Michael Gondry directed, and Charlie Kaufman wrote the screenplay for this. And Charlie Kaufman has directed actually some of my favorite films, including a couple years ago he directed with Jesse Plemons, who was actually Kirsten Dunst's husband, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, which actually is one of my favorite films from that year. I've actually seen it quite a few times. Charlie Kaufman makes a lot of screenplays and films in general that really deal with the human mind, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is no different. Even though this film is directed by Michael Gondry, this is very much a Charlie Kaufman feeling film. This is the same guy who wrote Being John Malkovich or Adaptation. He really knows how to make those kind of mind-bending, really whimsical, with some really fantastical imagery involved in his films, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind has all that in it. Where Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is different from those films is its emotional core. And that's where Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet carry this movie. This film follows Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet in a, I guess it would be just like an alternate reality of our world, in which there's the option that if you break up with somebody or just anything where you want to forget a certain part of your memory, not lose all of your memories, just a certain part of your memories, there is that technology is available to you. And Kate Winslet's Clementine and Jim Carrey's Joel have recently broken up after a very long relationship, and Kate Winslet can't deal with the pain. So she seeks out this doctor who can erase her mind of Joel. But Joel gets wind of this, and he decides, you know what? I can't deal with this pain anymore, and I'm going to go get the same procedure done, and I'm going to go forget about Clementine. And that is the basic plot of this movie. It is a sci-fi romance. The sci-fi is more of the sci-fi isn't surface level. I would say it's very much just, you know, in the background. Like the sci-fi, the equipment they're using is there, but it's not very much like that clean Gattaca or Terminator sci-fi equipment. This is very much like the guy's office is like a very run-down office in the middle of New York City. I mean, in the middle of Rockville Center on Long Island, New York, where it's a regular building. It's like just one of those buildings where you go and, you know, it's on the 7th floor in room 403, that kind of deal. It's got, you know, the equipment looks like it's old and raggedy, and it's not really the most well kept. The people doing the work there are just regular people. It's not like, you know, that super flashy sci-fi kind of movie. Really what this movie is dealing about is romance, love, loss, and pain and grief. It's dealing with all this in this one little sci-fi movie. And for me, that's where this movie really does shine. First off, you got Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey through the 90s was a comedic god. Until 1998 when he got to The Truman Show, that's when we finally got to see the flashes of the dramatic Jim Carrey. But that was still kind of a comedy. I actually think in this movie, it's pure drama Jim Carrey. He nails this role perfectly. If anything, Kate Winslet gets the more flashy role in Clementine because she gets a lot more, I wouldn't say fleshed out, but she definitely has the bigger personality. She is like the more of the aggressor in the relationship. She's the one that's like, you know, she's got more of that outgoing sense, whereas Jim Carrey is more of like an introvert, where he's like just kind of quiet and shy, and, you know, she's really like helping Jim Carrey come out of his shell of what he really is, and he plays that character perfect. Like, you wouldn't think Jim Carrey would be amazing in this role, but this is one of Jim Carrey's best performances. Now, personally, I can't put it above 1994's Dumb and Dumber or The Mask, but just out of personal reasons, but I still love him in this movie, and he nails this role. He does a perfect job in it. Kate Winslet, like I said, I think this is my personal favorite of Kate Winslet's performances. She does another amazing job in this movie, and, you know, their emotional drama really does work for the story because this movie is told non-linearly. Like, this movie really does start out in the present, and then we're getting basically their entire relationship told through them trying to erase the memories of Joel. So we're seeing the bad memories first because they're starting at the most recent and working their way back. So the way the movie is structured, we're seeing their relationship go from the very end all the way back to the beginning when it was at its most happiest. And at that same time, we could see in the present day them, you got Mark Ruffalo and Kirsten Dunst and Elijah Wood. In the present day, they are the people running this machine that are erasing their memory. and we're dealing with what they're dealing with, and they're doing them doing their job. So it's actually really cool because there's also this little side story with Elijah Wood and Kirsten Dunst, and Elijah Wood has never been more swarmy and like disgusting. Like, he's just a grimy guy in this movie, and I've never really seen Elijah Wood do that, so it was really cool to see him do that. And this is Mark Ruffalo before Hulk Mark Ruffalo. This is before he hit superstardom. Now, Kirsten Dunst, she was already Kirsten Dunst by this point, and she has a great role in this. Actually, the side story with her and I believe it was Tom Wilkerson, that broke me. Like, that story arc, I don't want to spoil anything for you, but that story arc in this film, that really does get me every single time I watch this. And even Joel and Clementine's story, like, that's such a beautiful relationship, and it really is dealing with, no matter what, a relationship might be broken, but it can still be fixed. And you can't just erase somebody. And personally, like, if we're going to get a little philosophical, I think that pain is important. It's still a feeling, and I still think that you should be able to experience that. I think because erasing that pain, that's not going to fix any of your real problems. And one little note, one person in the office that's trying to erase their memories as well is a woman. I never noticed this until this rewatch. She's got the dog ball, the dog collars there. She's trying to erase the pain of losing her dog. And that hits me really personally because I'm a huge dog lover. I have 2 dogs myself. And, my wife said she'd want to erase the pain of losing our dogs. I said, no, I wouldn't want to. I want to keep that pain. I want to remember them. I don't want to forget something. That's all part of our personal journeys, and I don't want to lose that. And I think that that's also another thing that this movie's dealing with. Yes, they did erase their minds and of each other, but they still somehow found a way back to each other, and it's just a beautiful story. The romance is really center stage out of everything, even over the sci-fi. Like I said, the sci-fi is just moving the plot along. The non-linear storytelling is perfect in this film. It's a tight screenplay. Charlie Kaufman makes some of the best screenplays. I can't speak highly enough on how the screenplay is. Charlie Kaufman is one of my idols when it comes to screenplay writing. I would love to eventually get to that point. I know it's impossible. Nobody can. But it's just an amazing film. So overall, as a film, I can highly recommend this. I can go on all day about how much I love Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. But if you haven't seen it, please check this one out. I think it's a great film. But now let's dive into the Kino Lorber 4K Blu-ray. So Kino Lorber is really becoming one of my favorite boutique studios. What Kino Lorber does that's really special is they concentrate on classic films. I bought Touch of Evil and Out of Sight from them earlier this year. Both of them are great restorations, and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, no different. This is another great restoration from them. This movie has HDR10 and Dolby Vision. I watched it with Dolby Vision on last night, and the Dolby Vision really does add to the visuals. When I used to think of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and its old Blu-ray that I had, I used to think gray. I didn't think of a very colorful movie other than Kate Winslet's hair, which was made a point to point out the color of it. I always thought this was a gray, very winter-feeling movie. The colors never really ever stood out to me. I never really thought of this as a colorful movie. But what this 4K did, it really did make the colors pop. Right out of the gate, when they're on that train station to Montauk or Wanta, I believe, because I live on Long Island, New York, so seeing the MTA logo and seeing those platforms definitely reminds me of Long Island because I've been on plenty of them myself, and seeing the colors, I always thought that it was just a cloudy, dark day in the beginning, but really there's sun shining through. You can see the orange and the purples of the sun coming through because it's early morning and it feels like early morning. They finally got that tone right, and that's what Kino Lorber did with the visuals. There's plenty of scenes. There's another scene where in the forest later in the movie, the woods really felt like fall because all those leaves on the ground. They finally nailed the visuals of this film that I never really thought that I would see, honestly, because I never seen this in the theater, so I've only seen it on DVD and Blu-ray, and I always thought gray. And it was really nice that this is actually a very colorful movie with a great visual style to it that, because a lot of this movie is told in memories. So what it is you'll see one light off the camera kind of floating around the room to make it feel claustrophobic, like you're in somebody's mind, or the focus of the camera is very in and out, in of focus, out of focus, and it really does work for that, losing memories kind of feeling of what it would be like to be inside of your mind, and that works really well with the screenplay, obviously, but visually you have to nail that. And some of those scenes still don't look great because that's not supposed to, but the scenes where they really get to shine, when they're in the Barnes and Noble where Kate Winslet works, I really think that those scenes do look visually stunning. Now, as far as audio goes, this is not the kind of movie that's going to give your speakers a run. It's got a great original score on here that I really did enjoy. That's very like whimsical and feels very like it feels very different and original, and it really does work. But you don't really need like your rear speakers pounding or the bass or the woofer pounding. You know, this is mostly front heavy, dialogue driven audio. So the DTS 5.1 is good, but it's also not great, and it's not going to be, because this is not the kind of film that's going to show off what your sound system is. This is more of, like I said, a dialogue driven film. So really what you want is to make sure that the dialogue is loud enough, and I think they did a good job with that. I didn't have any complaints about the audio, but that is not really what you're here for. Now what I really did love is that you get a great set of extras on here, and that is one thing I always like. There's a commentary track with the director and Charlie Kaufman talking about the film, which is really awesome if you're in the commentary tracks. But what they have out here is a lot of retrospectives. There's the making of the movie, and there's also Jim Carrey looking back on the movie, Michael Gondry looking back on the movie. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I want in extras. I want people looking back on the movie, the significance of the movie, what it was like to make the movie. Like, what did you think about what this movie was going to be in 2004? Did you think it was going to be the critically acclaimed cult following hit that it became, or did you think that it was going to be a bomb? Like, you know, I love it when actors and directors and producers and cinematographers all look back at their work, and you know what, that's my favorite type of extras, and that's on this disc. So for the extras on this, it is definitely a highly recommendation. And as far as like what the slipcover and the packaging looks like, it's typical Kino Lorber packaging. They have a really nice slipcover on here, and then you go underneath and you get that same box art that's on the slipcover on the inside. Nothing too special. It looks very similar to what the old Blu-ray looked like. Obviously, they use a different font, and they lean more into the blue and orange, and you know, it doesn't have the 4-star, you know, the critical rating on the bottom. So it's more cleaner, I think, definitely. But you know, no real alternate box art on here. It's really got that basic logo. This is what the box, this is what the theatrical poster looked like. There was no special designer brought in for anything. Like, they just cleaned it up, and I think they did a very good job. And just one last thing, on the inside, you get your two classic Kino Lorber discs. You know, they kind of throw out their own disc design on there, and I really do appreciate it. I think it looks really good. It's clean. It's nothing special. It's not like anything that any like big box art design or anything like that. It's standard, but it's still clean. I still respect it. So overall, I'm actually going to give this pretty high of a rating. Kino Lorber, like I said, is becoming one of my favorite boutique studios. They've been around a long time. You know, even though I'm just kind of like finding them in the last couple of years, but they've done some great work, and they really do help keep cinema and classic cinema alive. So I can definitely highly recommend this. I think overall, I'm going to give this entire package, the film, the audio, the visuals, the extras, and the box design, I'm going to probably give this a solid 9 out of 10. I definitely think if you can afford it, I can highly recommend this Kino Lorber 4K Blu-ray for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Definitely check that out. But before I get out of here today, it's Friday, and that means we're still doing our digital code giveaway. And this week, just like every week, we have 32 codes up for grabs, or if you want to reach out and see if we have any other ones, feel free. And this week's digital code giveaway questions are very simple. What is your favorite Jim Carrey movie? Or what is your favorite Kate Winslet movie in honor of Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind? So all you gotta do is answer one of those, or you can answer both. It doesn't matter. But if you want to enter this week's digital code giveaway, please answer one of those. Questions in the comments section below, and then come back to Monday's video where we'll spin our magic wheel and we'll find out who that lucky winner of the digital code is. And as always, guys, thank you so much for being a fan of Let's Talk. It really means the world to us, and nothing helps us out more than by sharing, and subscribing, and you telling all your friends.